I was hospitalized for 21 days, and my father gave my house to my sister. When I came back, he said, "It's not yours anymore. Don't come back." I simply replied, "Enjoy it." 1 week later, the surprise I had prepared left them speechless. My name is Ethan. I'm 30, the older kid, the steady one. I work maintenance at the city water plant, graveyard shifts, steel-toe boots, hands always smelling like bleach and copper. I bought my little two-bedroom when I was 27. It's nothing fancy, peeling porch paint, a loud fridge, a maple tree that drops helicopters like confetti every spring. But it's mine. Or it was, until my family decided it wasn't. My sister, Lily, is 25 and has always been the golden ticket. She glides. Jobs appear. Bills vanish. Dad calls her my girl, with this soft voice I've never heard used on me. On me, he uses the other voice. The one that says, "Be a man." Mom left when we were kids. Dad raised us on blunt opinions and microwave dinners. He loves loudly and badly. He loves by handing you a task and then telling you how you did it wrong. When I closed on the house, he said, "Proud of you." Then, "Don't get cocky," in the same breath. I painted the living room alone because he doesn't do beige. Lily swanned through with a latte and suggestions. "You should knock this wall down," she said, tapping a load-bearing column with her nail. "It would be so open." That's Lily, expensive ideas with other people's money. 3 weeks ago, I got sick. It started like a cold. Then my chest felt tight, my breath like I was trying to sip air through a cracked straw. At 2 a.m., I drove myself to the ER because I didn't want to bother anyone. Stupid, I know. Pneumonia, they said. I told work I'd be out a few days. Days turned into 21 in a white room with a number I knew by heart, 412B. For buzzing, morphine dreams, a curtain that never really closed. 21 days of plastic cups with ice water and nurses who said my name like it was a soft thing. Dad came once on day 4. He stood by the bed and stared at the monitor like it was a sports scoreboard. "You scared your sister," he said. "You should have called me." He brought me socks I already owned. He left after 9 minutes. On day 9, Lily texted, "You okay? I might swing by if my schedule opens." Her schedule, a Pilates class and a pop-up market. On day 13, a neighbor, Mr. Patel, sent a photo to my phone by mistake. It was of my porch. In the photo, my dad, holding my spare key, and Lily, smiling with boxes. Caption, "Big move day." I stared at it until the letters blurred. I typed, "That's my house," but didn't send it. On day 21, they discharged me with 2 antibiotics, a stack of papers, and a warning to take it easy. The air outside felt like a new planet. I called a ride. My bag thumped against my sore ribs on the driveway because I was too stubborn to ask for help. Dad was on my porch, arms crossed. Lily stood behind him with a measuring tape, already planning where to put her ring light. He didn't say hello. He said, "It's not yours anymore. Don't come back." For a second, I thought the pneumonia had crawled into my ears. "What?" He lifted his chin toward the deadbolt. "Change the locks. Lily needs stability. You're never home anyway." Lily twirled the tape. "It's for the best, F. You can get something smaller. Like cozy." My lungs hurt, but not from the pneumonia. I put the strap of the hospital bag tighter on my shoulder. I looked at the house I'd scraped for, the front window with the nicked sill I'd sanded by hand. I said, "Enjoy it." Dad squinted. "That's it. That's all you have to say." "That's all I've got today," I said, and I walked past them to the sidewalk. I didn't make a scene. I didn't beg. I didn't text a paragraph. I booked a motel for a week and bought a toothbrush from a vending machine. I lay on the thin bed with a crinkly mattress cover and stared at the ceiling tiles until they made shapes. I didn't sleep. I counted. Not money. Not steps. Just days. And while I counted, I planned a surprise. This didn't start with pneumonia or a lock. It started with a pattern. Growing up, if Lily and I both brought home A's. Dad took Lily for ice cream and told me, "Don't let it go to your head." When Lily dented the car, he blamed the pole. When I spilled a glass of milk, he lectured about carelessness for 15 minutes like it was a TED Talk. If Lily cried, the house stopped. If I bled, I was fine. Money was always the tool. Dad used it to fix what shouldn't be fixed and to break what shouldn't be broken. He wasn't rich. He worked construction until his knee gave out, then did odd jobs. But whatever he had, he placed on the altar of Lily's potential. She tried cosmetology school, moved in with a boyfriend, moved out, tried dog grooming, moved back, sold candles online, burned through 3 credit cards, and somehow it was always my job to help her find her feet. Family is family, Dad would say. You pitch in. Pitch in meant you pay. At 23, I worked 2 jobs and saved like it was a religion. I had a jar on my dresser. I taped a piece of paper to it that said house in block letters. Dad called it cute. Lily called it sad. I counted singles, took shifts, fixed neighbors' sinks for $60 cash. I learned to patch drywall by watching videos at 1.25x speed. I got pre-approved for a mortgage and cried in the bank parking lot because that letter felt like permission to exist. The down payment drained me to $812 in my checking account. The day I closed, Dad scanned the deed and said, "You think you're better than us now?" I said, "No. I just want to sleep without hearing the TV through the wall." From the first weekend, he treated my house like a community center. "We'll do family dinners here," he announced. Translation: "We'll eat your groceries and leave our plates in the sink." He gave Lily a key for emergencies. Emergencies were, apparently, I need a place to film, and my landlord is weird, and it's loud at Dad's. I set rules. Text first. No sleepovers without asking. Put the thermostat back. Rules slid off like oil on a pan. It sounds small until it repeats. Until you come home from a 12-hour shift to find a stranger's shoes on your mat and Lily saying, "That's just Maya. She's crashing." Until Dad leaves your front door open because he forgot something in the truck and then lectures you about crime in the neighborhood. Until you open your water bill and it's $218 because Lily had to fill the tub to shoot an aesthetic video with rose petals. I consumed those costs like poison in microdoses because arguing felt worse than paying. When I pushed back, Dad did the thing. He made it moral. "You got a house because this family made you," he'd say. "Don't be ungrateful." "You mean because I worked?" I'd say, and he'd call me disrespectful. The hospital happened because I didn't stop. 2 double shifts. Then I caught a chill in a wet basement. Then I ignored the cough because rent doesn't care if you're tired. One night my chest seized, and for a second I knew what drowning felt like. The ER nurse said, "You waited too long." I nodded because I wait by default. Lying in 412B, I learned what quiet sounded like without Dad's voice mainlining into my head. On day 7, my supervisor sent a photo of my locker at work with a post-it on it. "Get well." On day 8, Mr. Patel sent that porch photo by mistake, and my heart punched my ribs. I texted Dad, "Everything okay at my house?" He replied, "We're handling things." I typed, "Handling what?" and stared at the bubble. Nothing came back. On day 11, a video popped up in Lily's story. Her spinning in my living room, my beige walls, my thrifted coffee table, captioned, "New Beginnings." I watched it 3 times. My phone beeped. I could taste the saline. I called Dad. He let it ring out. I called again. He sent, "Focus on getting better. We'll talk when you're out." On day 15, I woke at 3 a.m. to the CRT blue hospital TV glow and wrote a list on the back of the cafeteria menu. The list wasn't angry. It was arithmetic. Mortgage, $1,146. Property tax, $2,187 due in October. Utilities average, $196. Groceries, $280. Repairs, whatever breaks next. Guest budget, $0. I added a line and wrote, "My spine." On day 19, a respiratory therapist named Carmen said, "You look like you're planning a heist." I said, "I'm planning not to be robbed." She laughed and then looked at my face and didn't laugh. "You need boundaries, baby." I hated that word because I associated it with Instagram quotes and people who buy journals with gratitude on the cover. But lying beneath a blanket that smelled like bleach, I realized boundaries weren't slogans. They were locks you didn't apologize for. Discharge came. Dad and Lily came with it. He had the keys I paid for. He had a story about stability. He had my front step. And when he said, "It's not yours anymore," something in me unhooked. I didn't tell him to give back the key. I didn't swing. I didn't cry. I said, "Enjoy it." Because I know something about momentum. You can turn it. I checked into the motel and opened my laptop on a dresser with a cigarette burn. I made 3 calls. One to a property manager whose card I'd kept for someday. One to a locksmith for next Monday at 8 a.m. One to a friend at the sheriff's office to ask what the legal notice window actually is for unauthorized occupants. Answer: 7 days in our county with owner-occupied status and no lease on file. I printed a notice to vacate at the FedEx down the street and paid $1.32 to staple it. I dated it. I slept. The first 3 days, my phone turned into a fire alarm. 17 missed calls from Dad. 31 texts from Lily. A group chat ping. "Can someone bring foil?" Like I didn't exist. I kept it on Do Not Disturb, took my pills, and counted down to Monday. Sunday night, I ironed a shirt for no reason except I wanted to feel like a person who chooses a shirt. Monday, 7:52 a.m., I stood on my own sidewalk with a folder tucked under my arm. It wasn't a dramatic color, just blue, from the office store. The maple tree was shedding helicopters. My house looked the same as the day I left it. My body didn't. My breath was slower. My hands didn't shake. Dad opened the door before I could knock. "You finally decided to come grovel?" "Morning," I said. Lily was barefoot on my rug, a coffee in one hand, hair in a messy bun that costs money. "We're busy, Ethan," she said. "I have a client at 9. "At 9, I repeated. "Perfect." At 8 o'clock on the dot, the locksmith's van pulled up. At 8:01, so did the property manager's sedan. He's a tidy man named Mark with a clipboard and a polite smile that hides teeth. 2 minutes later, a second car arrived. A couple in scrubs holding hands. Travel nurses. I'd signed a lease Friday. Move-in date, today at noon. First month plus deposit already in my account, $3,400. Dad's face went a shade I've only seen on men about to blow a gasket. "What's this?" I opened the blue folder, handed him page 1. "Notice to vacate, served last Monday. 7 days. You received it on your windshield." He had. I watched him crumple it on Mr. Patel's door camera. He tossed the paper like it bit him. "This is our home." "It's my home," I said, calm. Not loud. Not shaky, just flat. "You were guests when invited. You were trespassing when you changed the locks." Lily scoffed. "You can't evict your family." "I can end access you assumed you had," I said. And I did. Mark cleared his throat. "Sir, ma'am, we'll give you 20 minutes to gather personal items. The moving team will pack the rest for storage." "Storage?" Dad said, as if I'd said grave. 60 days at my cost," I said. "After that, you handle it." The nurses looked at me with that careful grace medical people have around scenes. "We can come back," the woman said softly. "You're fine," I told them. "You belong here at noon." Dad moved toward the property manager like men move toward punching bags. I stepped between them. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't puff up my chest. I said, "If you touch him, I call the sheriff. If you stay past 9, I call the sheriff. If you break anything, I call the sheriff." Lily snapped. "You're actually doing this?" "Yes," I said. "Because you hate us," Dad said. "After everything I've done." "This isn't about revenge," I said. "This is about closure." He blinked. The locksmith popped the cylinder with a neat click. The sound went straight through me like a bell. "Check your email," I told Dad. "For the next 90 days, contact is email only. I'll respond within 48 hours. If you need help budgeting, ask respectfully. If Lily needs housing, there are apartments that take deposits. You think you're better than us because you have a spreadsheet," Dad spat. "I think I'm better than I was last week," I said. At 8:19, Lily threw 2 armfuls of clothes into a trash bag and glared like glare could melt hinges. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "I regret waiting this long," I said. At 8:26, Dad stood in the doorway and tried the oldest trick in the book, the speech about blood. "Family is forever," he said. "You can't evict blood." "I'm not evicting blood," I said. "I'm evicting behavior." He looked past me at the travel nurses now speaking in low voices near the maple. He looked at the locksmith sweeping brass shavings into his palm. He looked at Mark, already photographing the stove like a man documenting a moon landing. Then he looked at me and saw I wasn't going to flinch. He left. By noon, the house was quiet except for the sound a new lock makes when the bolt finds a home it likes. The nurses brought in 3 boxes and a plant with long, shiny leaves. "We'll treat the place right," the woman said. I believed her. I handed over 2 sets of keys, a maintenance number, and a packet with instructions I'd printed at the FedEx. My hands held the paper steady. At 12:37, my phone lit up with a voicemail from Aunt Carol. "I heard you threw your father into the street," she said. "I hope your conscience keeps you warm." I deleted it. At 1:12, Dad emailed. Subject, monster. Body, "You'll regret this when you're old and alone." I replied, "For the next 90 days, please use email for non-emergencies. Twice monthly dinners are available if you'd like to speak in person. Thursdays at 6. He responded, "Don't ever contact me again." I marked it read and closed the tab. At 3:04, Lily texted from a new number. "You ruined my life," she wrote. "You could have given me 1 month." I had a collab. I wrote back once. The notice was 7 days. "I gave you 9. She replied with 24 clapping hand emojis and a link to a story where she called me a snake. I muted her. At 6:30, I went to the motel lobby and filled a paper bowl with stale cereal because my body was still negotiating with appetite. I watched two kids fight over the only remote. Their dad handed it to the one who hadn't screamed. I smiled in spite of everything. By day 2, the panic in my family chat had turned to strategy. Aunt Carol posted an article about ungrateful children. Dad replied with facts. Lily replied with crying selfies. I unfollowed the thread and opened a spreadsheet instead. Rent, plus $1, 700/month. Motel, $469/week. Meds, $38. Groceries, $96. Lawyer consult I'd booked for Wednesday. $0, first hour free. Breathing room, plus something new. Day 3, Dad left a voicemail in his calm voice, the one he uses on bosses and cops. Ethan, he said, let's be rational. Lily can't be on the street. She's vulnerable. You have space. You don't have a heart made of stone. He paused like he expected me to interrupt. We're family. He said the word like a trap. I emailed back. I've paid for a storage unit for 60 days. I'll contribute $500 toward Lily's deposit if she applies for her own lease. After that, she is an adult. Dad replied, keep your dirty money. Then asked me for $200 the next morning. I didn't answer. Boundaries are brutal because they're boring. You don't win. You just repeat them until the echo becomes a wall. Day 4, I met the lawyer. She had kind eyes and very direct sentences. You own the property outright, she said, flipping through the deed. Your father has no legal interest. Changing locks without authority is, yes, trespass. Your notice was valid. Keep records. Don't engage over text. Don't turn off utilities as leverage. That would be illegal. I nodded. I wanted to be clean. I wanted to be able to stand in my own story without excuses. Day 5, I went back to work for half a shift. My supervisor clapped me on the shoulder and said, you look lighter. I said, I changed locks. He said, on your house or your heart, and laughed at his own joke. I laughed too. It felt good in my ribs. That night, Dad sent a long email about sacrifices, the time he fixed my bike chain at midnight in 2004, the time he packed my lunch with a note. I read it all. I let it matter that he had done those things. I wrote back, I remember. Thank you. And also, we need new rules. I attached a one-page document titled, What I Will No Longer Do / What I Am Willing to Do. I will no longer fund Lily's lifestyle, cover emergencies that are poor planning, or provide housing without a lease. I will no longer be reachable 24/7. Email only, 48-hour window, except hospital-level emergencies. I am willing to meet twice a month for dinner, help you both build a budget if you ask respectfully, and show up for true emergencies. Hospital, safety, the cops. Everything else is a no. I expected an explosion. Instead, I got silence. Not the scary kind. The other kind. The kind that means the room is rearranging itself. On day 6, Lily asked for the $500 I'd offered. I sent it directly to a leasing office named on a real application. I hate you, she wrote. Thanks. 2 hours later, she posted a photo of a tiny studio with a quote about fresh starts. I didn't like it. I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't do anything at all. On day 7, I checked on my house. The nurses had hung a string of soft lights on the porch. It looked like somewhere someone could rest. I stood on the sidewalk and realized I wasn't angry in the way I'd trained myself to be. I was sad and sure at the same time. It's a weird combination, like sweet coffee. At 2 p.m., my dad's truck slowed in front of the curb. He rolled down the window. You really did it, he said. Not a question. I really did, I said. He stared at the maple. Where am I supposed to go when I need something? Inside your own life, I said. It sounded mean on paper. It didn't feel mean. He sniffed hard like he was catching a cold that wasn't there. You think I'm the villain. I think you're tired, I said. I think I'm done being your plan. He didn't yell. He didn't throw a speech. He nodded once, short, like men do at stoplights, and drove away. That night, I moved out of the motel and into a short-term sublet above a bakery. The building smelled like sugar at 5 a.m. I slept through my alarm for the first time in years and didn't wake up to panic. The call slowed. The group chat found a new topic. Aunt Carol attached a recipe. Lily posted a discount code. Dad went quiet for 3 days and then sent me a link to a cheap tire place. No comment. I clicked it. Prices were good. I made eggs in a pan that wasn't mine and ate them hot. 2 weeks later, I met Dad at a diner on a Thursday at 6, like I'd said. He was early. He had that look like he'd been practicing lines in the car. He started with a story about Lily's new place. It's small, he said, but she's making it nice. He looked at me the way men look when they don't know how to ask for a hug. She got a job at a salon. Part-time. It's a start. I'm glad, I said. I meant it. He cleared his throat. You blindsided us. You told me my house wasn't mine, I said. I chose to believe you. For a week. Then I chose something else. He flinched and then nodded like the hit was fair. I was scared, he said. I don't know how to not be in charge. I know, I said. I've been letting you be in charge of me for a long time. We ordered meatloaf because it was on special. He complained about the gravy because complaining is his love language. I asked how his knee was. He said it clicks when it rains. He asked about my lungs. I said they still feel like paper sometimes, and he didn't say walk it off. He said, take it easy, and his face made a shape I hadn't seen, like regret learning to speak. I'm not paying your bills, I said, when the plates were mostly done. I'm not providing housing without a lease. I won't take midnight calls unless someone's bleeding. He looked out the window at the parking lot lights. You think I'm garbage. I think you're my father, I said. And I think I finally learned how to be my own. We split the check because I'm done being the table's wallet. Outside, he hugged me. Awkward, a clap on the back, and said, you're stubborn. I said, I learned from the best. At home, I borrowed one over the bakery. I wrote one more list and taped it to the inside of a cabinet. Sleep 8 hours. Pay my bills first. Email, not text, for family. No surprise visits. Say no without writing a speech. It's not a victory dance. It's a routine. It's what closure looks like in real life. Not fireworks, not an uplifting montage, just a dozen small choices you keep making until they stop feeling like choices and start feeling like the new floor you stand on. I drive by my house sometimes. The porch lights look good. There's a pair of blue sneakers by the door that aren't mine. I'm weirdly proud of that. I'm paying off the last chunk of my hospital bill with the rent. I send $50 a month to a fund I labeled long. I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb at night, and the world doesn't end. If you want the moral in one sentence, it's this. You can love people and still tell them they don't get to live in your house. You can be a good son without being an endless resource. You can choose your own peace and call it what it is. Not selfishness, not revenge. Closure. I won't be the backup plan for adults who won't make a plan. I won't finance chaos dressed up as family. I won't live like my life belongs to whoever yells loudest. I will answer myself first. I will keep my doors intact and my locks legal. I will be the person who chooses the shirt for no reason at all and eats hot eggs in a quiet kitchen. The surprise wasn't the locksmith or the lease or even the blue folder. The surprise was that when I said enjoy it, I meant it. Enjoy the part of me that isn't available for extraction anymore. Enjoy the version of me that will sit across from you at a diner and listen and pay half and go home to a life he built and finally got to keep. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. And the best panic they felt wasn't losing a house. It was realizing the old me was gone.